This video is a remake of one of my Bengali videos. I am discussing whether ghosts exist, what does our Shastra says. People who are acquainted with me or have read my book Lucky Me, which I released in 2022 based on my life experience, they will be aware that in 1987 and 1989 in Gujarat and Jharkhand, I had opportunity of having some paranormal experience. Those two incidents have made lot of mark in my mind, and I have been searching the root cause of those experiences. Since last 1 year, I have joined Krishna Consciousness and started reading scriptures. I found that there are some references of ghost and demon and Pitrulok in our Shastras. Based on those small reading whatever I have done, I am preparing these facts in this video. The pictures used in this video are actually from internet. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, Sankhya Yoga, God is explaining how our body is composed of. Our body is composed of primarily two sets of bodies. One is called gross body, another is called subtle body. Both gross body and subtle body is part of material world, and both these bodies cover the most important chetna of our body, which is soul. And gross body is made of Pancha Mahabhut, which essentially consists of earth, water, fire, air and ether. Earth elements are easily visible in our body, like our flesh, our bones and all other things. Water is also visible but subtle than earth, and water is 70% of our body is water. Fire is not visible, it is subtler than water, but the fire element is there because whenever we eat something, to digest that we require a fire which we call Jathar Agni. Or whenever we are sick, the temperature of our body increases, which is the demonstration of the fire inside our body. We have got air and gas is there in our body, but we can't see that because it is subtler than even fire. And ether is the space by which all our organs are placed in such a way that whether we grow older or grow fatter or thinner, they are well adjusted inside body. However, ether is also not possible to find out. After gross body, there is a subtle body which we have, and the subtle body consists of three important items. The first item is mind. Now, mind is subtler even than ether, so therefore it is impossible to find out where exactly mind is. Very recently, scientists have discovered that every cell of human body has a mind component, and mind is not situated in any brain or any heart, it is across the body. Mind is used for our all kind of thoughts, all kind of desires. Now, minds are very closely associated with our senses, and since our senses are since our senses vary from one direction to another, our mind also keep on loitering between one place to another and do not stay at one place. Over mind, we have a component called intelligence, which is more subtler than mind and is supposed to take care of the mind or take care of its movements. And above intelligence, we have another subtler element which is called false ego. False ego is the item which actually tells us that I am Suman Basu. Generally, if we ask somebody that who you are, then the answer comes, I am the name, I am the designation, I am the person. Bhagavad Gita says actually these identities are all misplaced, because these identities are associated only within this birth, and they were not there before this birth, they will not be there after this birth. Ideally speaking, our identity is the soul, which is covered by the gross body and subtle body, and which is built up Sat, Chit and Ananda, where Sat is truth, Chit is consciousness and Ananda is bliss. Now, this soul actually is the command of the everything in our body. So the moment soul leaves our body becomes dead. Honestly speaking, that is a conception. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, Bhagavan is telling that all the components which I mentioned as gross body, subtle body, they are already dead. So as long as soul is inside that, soul keeps on alive. And soul cannot be dead, cannot die, because souls only migrates. So what actually is death is a big question. What die when we die? That's a big question. Why I told this theory? Because we must need to understand, before understanding what is ghost, what is this gross body, what is subtle body, what is soul, and how we are working, how we are built up. The photo which I have shown is courtesy His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. I have taken it from his website. So like I was discussing, the gross body and the subtle body are in the material level, because in our universe there is a two world. One is spiritual world, one is material world. So whatever, when we take birth in this material world, we need to have a body which consists of material body, because those material body will help us to help our soul to enjoy his desire, fulfill his desire, and enjoy this earthly happiness or bliss, whatever available here. Now, when this soul is inside the body is changing daily. As per Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2 and chapter 4, every moment we are changing. But we don't mind. Although our body is changing, we don't mind, because we still know, we have a feeling that we are the same person, only our body is changing. So in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, Krishna is telling there is something called Shastra and something called Kshetragya. Kshetra is the body and Kshetragya is the Jivatma, which knows that it is his body. Excuse me. But as soon as our body becomes such that it is not capable of enjoying anything more, it has become so old or it has become so diseased, then this soul leaves this body and takes another body. Now when the soul transmigrates from one body to another, it actually leaves the gross body here, and it actually takes along with him the subtler body. What means the body which is built out of the Panch Mahabhut, earth, water, fire, air and ether, those components are still remain in this earth, and either they are burnt or they are put in graveyard. They remain in earth, and we move around with three component: mind, our intelligence and our false ego. Now this has to be very clearly understood. So what happens, one thing has to be understood, another point very clearly. What happens when one person dies? That means his lifespan is finished and he takes another body. As per Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, he takes a body based on his karma and based on his last strongest desire. Now when that body comes, he is carrying his mind, he is carrying his intelligence, he is carrying his false ego. Therefore all sanskars are there with him, but his past body or the acquired experiences in the body, that does not go there, because experiences in the body are stored in the brain, which is also staying here, so that does not go. But the wisdom obtained from those experiences, which has become very deep in sanskar, it goes along with him actually. Now this conception is very critical for us to understand what is ghost and why we are getting disturbed by ghost. So now time has come for us to understand what is ghost as per our Shastra. So it mentions that as we normally get another body after transmigration of the soul based on our karma and last desire, there are some cases where the soul does not get a body. Now when the soul does not get a material body, does not get a gross body, it still has the mind, the false ego and the intelligence embedded in it, because it has left the previous body with all these three things. So what happens, This condition, when the body is not there, but soul and the subtle body is available, that condition is called ghost. Now, when it happens actually? So there are situations I will like to explain, and it is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam that the one nature has a logic of providing body. It has a time span of providing body. Suppose it has been identified that person A will have a body after 60 years or after 70 years. That has been termed as per his past karma. But if he chooses to commit suicide and he dies at 30, now the nature is still not ready. One more body is not available for him to be allocated. So what will happen? Between 30 years to 60 years, this large time, this soul does not have any body, and therefore it will convert it to a ghost. Similarly, the second opportunity is, suppose someone is too much attached to something. Suppose too much attached to a building, to a house, to money, to a pet dog, to some relatives, and the soul, after his normal death or after his accidental death or after his any kind of death, refuses to take another body. There are many such situations that the soul becomes so attached that it actually keeps on roaming around the same place where he was in the previous life. And then in that case, the nature cannot allocate him a body and he continues to be a ghost. There is another situation, if a soul gets an accident and he dies. So when he dies, because the soul is extremely body conscious, most of us are body conscious, we are not soul conscious, because if somebody asks us, who are you? I will tell I am Suman Basu. I will never say I am a blissful soul which has come from spiritual world and I should go back to spiritual. I will never say so. So because we are so much of body conscious and sudden accident somebody dies, it is very difficult for the soul to digest that he had so much of thing to do and he could not do and he has died. And therefore the soul does not agree to take another body and continues to be with a hope that somehow he will be able to get back to his previous life and complete what he was supposed to do. And therefore he continues to be ghost. There are many people who does so much amount of sinful work, and they do not earn any punya credit, they cannot get a new body. Because so much amount of sin he has done, they continue to be in the soul continues to be in the limbo position, and because their punya credit is so low, they are actually by default allocated directly to hellish planet, but they do not want to go there and they roam around the place where they are and they continue to be ghost. And during lifetime, many people deal with lot of black magic. They deal with lot of evil spirits. They do something bad to someone. Now those people after death cannot leave their association. As we know, the people whom we will associate, we will be like them. And those evil spirits ensure that this spirit or soul also convert into one of them and they continue to be around. So there are many cases, but I could find a few examples and therefore I put it, what is ghost and why ghost is created actually. We need to understand that the situation is very difficult for that soul who has not got a body and converted to a ghost. Because all of us have come to this material world to enjoy our life, to fulfill our desire. Now in this case, this particular body has a desire and all the wish embedded in his mind, and his intelligence is asking him to enjoy, but he cannot do that, he cannot have a body. So he gets so much of disturbed, so much of shattered, that they actually want to fulfill the desire by possess someone. Now what is possession? I will explain that. For instance, if you know that there is a weak student in your class and you are a very strong student and you are sitting in front of him, sometime you will like to influence him by applying mental pressure on him. Or if you go to a place where a person who knows hypnotism, he will use his hypnotic power and make use of somebody to do the work what he wants to do. When a soul do not have a body, he is having only the false ego, mind and intelligence. His capability of influencing someone increases multiple round, because his all energy is concentrated only in these three elements. His soul has nothing else to do but only to use these three elements. So what he does, he looks for a person whose mind is weak, generally afraid, generally not Krishna conscious, generally not God conscious, and then they possess that mind. By controlling the mind, they get done by their body. Now, our body is built in such a way, it is supposed to be controlled by only one soul and one mind. Now, when the body is being controlled by two souls and two mind, the body behaves very weirdly. And that's the reason many of us might be seeing that when somebody is possessed by ghost, they do something which is quite unnatural, and people around them becomes very unnerved by seeing them doing all these things. So that's the reason the possession, when possession happens, possession does not happen for a long time. It happens for a short duration, but during that short duration the body does many activity which under normal situation he cannot do. Now, because in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, Bhagavan is telling this is Dukshalayam Ashashyatam. Dukshalayam means this earth is a place of sorrow only. Even if we get sometime happiness, those happiness at the long will bring us sorrow only. And Ashashyatam is temporary. So the soul which has possessed someone and wanted to get something done, he eventually understands that he is not getting happiness even out of that. So during that period, when he realizes that, he leaves that and goes for some other body actually, some other soul. Because he is thinking that this person is not able to fulfill my desire, maybe someone else will do. And this continues for a very long time, unless and until they are liberated from their position actually. So this is a very important conception of soul, possessing another soul, and I thought I will explain that in this slide. So the point what I wanted to make, and it is again given in Shastras, how to avoid such situation. We need to know that in another document I have actually shown that there are many lokas, 7 lokas above our Bhulok and 7 lokas below our Bhulok. One of the loka is called Pitrulok, and Pitrulok is the place where the ghost or the soul who are not able to earn so much of credit to go to Sarga, they temporarily stay there. Now those souls get liberated if they are offered Vishnu Prasad. That is why we do Pinda. If we do Pinda, we actually, by the way of Pinda, we do Vishnu Prasad to our ancestors, and they get liberated if they are in Pitrulok. So one of the good solution is, during your lifetime, if you have Vishnu Prasad or Krishna Prasad, you offer Bhog, and after Bhog you take the Prasad, then your soul cannot be converted into a ghost. Because Vishnu Prasad, the moment you take, all your sinful reactions really go away, and therefore you cannot be converted in a ghost. Second point, one of the reasons why the soul becomes a ghost is because of attachment. Now, as we know that by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day, 16 rounds, 8 rounds, we slowly get detached from all the material attachment. And at the time of death, we realize by that time that everything belongs to God, and God is now providing me some other service instead of the current service what I am doing. So since there is no attachment, this soul cannot be converted into ghost. Similar, the third point what has been mentioned, actually it has been mentioned that association or satsang of the bhaktas is extremely important. If we keep on doing satsang of the people on a fixed interval, or maybe once in a week, once in a month, once in a fortnight, then with the association of higher Vaishnavas or higher spiritually awakened people, our mental block or our mental agony goes away. And because the mind becomes so strong by doing by eating Vishnu Prasad, chanting Hare Krishna, doing satsang, even if any ghost or anyone tries to possess us, they cannot do that, because the ghost or the other soul can possess only if we have lot of doubt, lot of fear in our mind. The moment we become fearless, there is no chance that anyone can possess very easily, and that becomes another simple solution. The last but not the least is, as I told earlier, that we need to give regular pindadan for our ancestors. I do not know whether nowadays youngsters still do that, but when I was young, at that time it was taught to us by our teacher, by our superiors, that after death of your ancestors, it is mandatory to do the shraddha and also annual ritual function. Or we should give dakshina, dana or bhojana to brahmanas, so that our pitrulok people gets that benediction of Lord Vishnu and they get freed from that position. So if a soul is stuck in any of the situation where he is a ghost, the moment the pinda is given, he gets liberated from there actually. I have also read that Lord Shiva, the biggest devotee of Lord Krishna, is very merciful. Lord Shiva has been assigned a very difficult service. He has been told that he has to liberate the ghost or the demons. So what he does, he is so merciful, he puts ashes on his body, he stays in crematorium ground, and also he associates with these souls, fallen souls, whom normally other demigods will not even touch. As you know, that soul has a problem, because if you see a horror movie, you will see that the majority of the ghosts are shown near the graveyard, because in graveyard the body is available, and therefore soul has a tendency to go back to that body, and they are around, so the ghosts are around them. Similarly, but if you come to the our Hindu Shamshan Ghat or crematorium, that chances are remote, because the body is burnt very quickly and the soul does not have opportunity of going back, so naturally they have a tendency to move on. But Lord Shiva actually associates with them, and he looks for the opportunity how he can allocate one of the soul so in his next body. Now Lord Shiva has a Parshad, he is called Nandi, who is a bull. So he rides on the bull and he keeps on roaming around along with this ghost and tries to find out that how this body can be allocated. Now this body can be allocated if the credit is very low or the past action or karma is very poor. One body, definitely they will be allocated to animals or insects, so he will allocate that. But there are some cases they will be getting the human birth. But even if they get a human birth, they are not going to get a very high grade human birth. So how they will get human birth? There are situations where the parents are not Krishna conscious. They will conceive the child at a very appropriate time. Maybe they will conceive the child in the noon, they will conceive the child in the daytime, or they will conceive on a Ekadashi day, or on a tithi where the child should not be conceived. So definitely those childs, when they take birth, before taking birth on the 3rd month, they will attract a soul, and that soul will be one of the soul which Lord Shiva will allocate. Now Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is telling that when such soul takes birth, he is so merciful, he gives them opportunity to get corrected. But and they can actually get corrected if they start remembering Lord Krishna, praying Lord Krishna, or eating Vishnu Prasad. But Lord Krishna himself is telling that because these people, he is telling a word called Dushkritano. Dushkritano are people who are actually, he is using another word called Maya Apohrita Gyana. Maya has completely taken out their gyan. So even if they take birth, get an opportunity, they will never do all these things, and they will keep on being envious to Lord Krishna. They will always say that we are atheists, we do not want Krishna. So eventually what will happen? They will continue to become a ghost, or they will continue to become a lower animal, or lower strata of life on birth and birth and birth after birth. But that's a different story. So Lord Shiva is very merciful and he allows these people to get a new body and then get rid of their ghost condition. A few references of different books where I have read. I have written here Srimad Bhagavatam, some slok number, Bhagavad Gita, some slok number, Chaitanya Charitamrita, some slok number. Also there is a elaborate description of ghost and all these things in Padma Puran and Kalika Puran. So maybe these are some of the references you may like to see. I would like to thank you to be associated with me in this journey and also listen to this video till such time. And I hope that some of you actually requested me to convert this video in English to understand what I said in Bengali video. I hope they will get benefited after listening to this. And whatever I have said is purely based on my own research. And if there is any improvement opportunity, please do let me know. I will correct in the new version. However, thank you again for seeing this video. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.